John Hollinger released his annual NBA GM survey where he asked general managers across the NBA to give their opinions on the upcoming NBA season. And this involves questions about players, about teams, and just overall predictions going into the new NBA year. And after skimming through this article before, I am now of the opinion that general managers in the NBA just don't watch the Toronto Raptors play basketball. So in order to see what you guys think as well, we're going to go through this article together and break it down and see what NBA GMs have to say just in general about the NBA, but more specifically about the Raptors. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here at Raptors Digest, breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news, and it's that time of year, folks. The annual NBA GM survey has been released, and this always leads to some interesting content because it's cool seeing what front offices in the NBA sort of think about the players across the NBA versus, the overall public consensus. And as I said in the intro, I'm surprised by some lack of Raptors recognition by the top general managers in the NBA. Also surprised by some recognition in some certain places. So for better or worse, I feel like the NBA GMs missed the mark on some Raptors takes in this survey. But I think regardless of if it's Raptors news or just NBA news in general, it'll be fun to go through with on the channel. Take a little deep dive. So I got the list pulled up here. Let me get the buttons pressed. And we'll go through this thing together. You guys can see what I see on my phone, and we'll just dive straight into it. Let's look at the first one we're going into, and it starts with the juicy stuff, the NBA predictions, and what team will make the NBA Finals. And unfortunately, I get to react to something early. No Raptors picks in the NBA Finals, and honestly, I get it. We're a not rebuilding team, but we're a younger squad. We got stuff to prove in order to be picked to make the NBA Finals. We're not the Milwaukee Bucks who won the championship with the same core that they have just 2 seasons prior. Almost made the Finals last season without their second best player. I think it makes sense the Bucks are favorited. The NBA championship Golden State Warriors, they should be favorited as well. But the Clippers being that high, obviously a team that's always trying to steal the Raptors style, picking up Kawhi Leonard, picking up Norman Powell, and I'm sure they're calling every day trying to get Pascal Siakam back on their or back with Kawhi and Norman Powell and those guys. So, the Clippers, they do have an interesting roster. My hate for the Clippers has kind of subsided a little bit after they had that embarrassing flame out in the 3-1 deficit. I've never had spite towards Kawhi, but I've always had spite. I've held a little bit of spite towards the LA Clippers for stealing him away, stealing NBA coaches and all that sort of stuff. But I'm fine with them being at 21. It's interesting. I think it's risky and bold, but the Celtics, obviously after their tumultuous end to the offseason with their head coach, Ime Udoka, having his suspension for the year, likely never coaching again. We've been covering that big time on Courtside Digest. That's a huge blow to their team. Injuries to Gallinari, to Robert Williams, and injury risk, I guess, of Malcolm Brogdon, the guy they brought in, right? They have some question marks, so I can see them at 11th, and it's pretty funny how the Brooklyn Nets had a 72% chance, according to NBA GMs, of making the finals going into the most recent year, and they didn't win a single playoff game. Looking at the last year's predictions, it's funny how the Brooklyn Nets just completely disappointed, at least according to NBA GM polls, and it's a reason I hold the belief. I don't want to worry about the Brooklyn Nets at all, because something's going to happen to them. Some off-the-court drama, some injuries, some on the court drama maybe where their superstar demanded their GM and coach be fired right before the season started. So it's off to a rough start already, and we're going to break down how Ben Simmons returned to the Nets in a Courtside Digest video tonight. So I'm not enough of me plugging this. Let's look at where they have the Eastern Conference teams ranked, to stick with the Brooklyn Nets news, because Brooklyn's ahead of the Raptors. After getting swept in the last season, they're bringing in Ben Simmons. I know they beefed up their bench a little bit, but someone put them at first. Someone gave them a first ranking in the Eastern Conference. I think that's absolutely bonkers, given the offseason they had. Even Miami and Cleveland. Yes, Cleveland brought in Donovan Mitchell, but I just like what the Raptors have in terms of continuity, defense, guys that have been there, have done it. So I'm surprised Cleveland's there. Miami, they're the first seed last season. They almost made the NBA Finals again. You got to give them love. But Lowry, Jimmy Butler, 1 year older. They don't have crazy amounts of depth after losing PJ Tucker. A lot of their bench guys getting older as well. They just gave a bag to Tyler Hero. Duncan Robinson barely played last season. So I don't know. It's interesting ranking. And then Philadelphia with apparently an MVP level James Harden coming back. I can see why they're top 3. And then at this point, you do have to put the Celtics and the Bucks ahead of the Raptors, because more established, made the finals, won a championship, all that stuff. So I'm still taking Raptors top 3, but I'm not mad at these rankings, except for maybe the Miami, Brooklyn, and Cleveland stuff. But I won't dive too much in the Western Conference. But again, the Clippers getting a lot of love from NBA GMs. They see that 2019 Raptors squad emerging on the Clippers, and they say, hey, they're going to be top seed in the Western Conference. Love to see it. One little sleeper team I'm throwing in there is the New Orleans Pelicans. Healthy Zion, healthy CJ McCollum. If they have a healthy team going into this year, don't be surprised to see them be a top 4 seed in the West. My little take from Raptors Digest here. But now we get into the players. And obviously Pascal Siakam made it known that he wants to be a top 5 guy, wants to be in the MVP race this season. And no love from NBA GMs, which I completely get. He's never been at an NBA MVP level, but hopefully he does not turn around. He was absolutely amazing last season, but ramps it up even more to get into that discussion. But makes sense. Luka Doncic, Giannis, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid's there as well, who obviously has been a runner-up season after season. I'm surprised Nikola Jokic, who won back-to-back the most recent years, isn't on this list, especially with his co-stars coming back. If they're a top team in the Western Conference, don't be surprised if Nikola Jokic three-peats in terms of MVP. But voter fatigue is a real thing. Another interesting question they always ask, which player that they would, if you could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Luka Doncic won the race last year, but Giannis came back despite not even going as far as Luka in the playoffs this year. Even though he didn't have Chris Middleton, probably more of a supporting cast than Luka had. I'm surprised that this flipped, but probably what it should have been. Giannis is multi-time MVP, won a championship. He's the more established player. You're probably rocking with Giannis over Luka at this point, but interesting to see how all that sort of stuff works. But which player opposing coaches make most adjustments? You're getting top 4 guys in there. I'm not even breaking down this list, but this is where the more interesting topics surrounding the Raptors come into play, right? More Raptor-centered, because which players most likely to have a breakout season this year? Now, I hate it when they say breakout seasons to second and third year players, right? Second and third year players are always going to take massive leaps. It's just how it goes. But the NBA GMs had the audacity to throw in Evan Mobley, didn't win Rookie of the Year last year. Kate Cunningham didn't win Rookie of the Year last year. More rookies: Jonathan Kuminga, Franz Wagner. I think those are all the rookies I see. Right, 4 rookies on this list. No Scottie Barnes, who has lots of room to grow already, lots of space to break out in terms of as a jump shooter, as a ball handler, as a slasher, and was already better than a lot of these guys on this list. Are they just saying Scottie Barnes is already a star? Maybe that's how I should interpret it, but I'm surprised that they not even one person voted for Scottie Barnes in this list. They're voting Ben Simmons, a guy that's progressively got worse year after year as a breakout star. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. Even Jalen Green on this list. No love for Scottie. There no Scottie Barnes award to NBA GMs across the NBA. That's honestly a little bit shocking. The more I think about it, the more I ponder on it. But interesting stuff there from the NBA GMs. But who's the best point guard in the NBA? Clearly it's Fred VanVleet, Delano Banton, these guys. But NBA GMs don't want to give them their love. No, it's got to be Steph Curry. I'm surprised Luka Doncic is even in here. Right, then they go through each list. Devin Booker, number 1. Interesting. D Book, number 1 for shooting guards. Kevin Durant over Tatum for small forwards. Interesting. If Kawhi Leonard's on that list, I'm taking Kawhi over KD all day. But that's a hot take when I bring it up to people. But I guess Kawhi's not healthy, so is what it is. Power forward, right? I would have liked to see Siakam get a vote in there. Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he's considered a power forward, right? If that's a position he played, I know he plays 3 through 5 for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's going to get it day in, day out. But even LeBron got some votes. LeBron, Siakam, not last season, LeBron averaged a 30 piece, but maybe this year you could make the argument Siakam could take the step over LeBron James. But I'll leave that for the comment section, see what people think. KD's more of a 3 for his squad, so I don't know. No love for the Raptors on that front, and as much as I've been drumming up the propaganda for Precious, no love for Precious at center. Not worried about any of those, but yeah. Then they dive into the players. It looks like Giannis is consensus best player in the league. Him, Steph Curry in terms of overall positions. That's what's happening. And then We get into the interesting team rankings, team survey questions, and apparently the Cleveland Cavaliers made the best overall moves this offseason. And I've seen a lot of Raptors fans trash on the Cavs. Obviously, they're a rival with us through all those LeBronto years, and then even in recent seasons and during the regular season, they've been fun games against Cleveland. We love to trash on the Cavaliers, and the Evan Mobley, Scottie Barnes rivalry is going to be going on for years to come. People have been trashing on Donovan Mitchell bringing it in there. The Cavs definitely got a lot better this offseason. There's no doubt about it. So I see why they're ranked as the top team with the best overall moves. Surprised the Timberwolves got number 2, just given we know how much GMs covet those future first round picks. I'm surprised that they're so high on this list, given the fact they overpaid for Rudy Gobert without a doubt. Sixers, they got Melton this year, got Montrezl Harrell, no big moves, but another division rival, and Utah Jazz just blew up their team and said, hey, we made the best moves this season. So that's interesting. Last year was the Miami Heat for acquiring Kyle Lowry, so shout out to the Raptors growth. But which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Mitchell, Gobert, Brunson, makes sense. Former Raptor PJ Tucker getting 3% of the vote. 38-year-old PJ Tucker for the Sixers. I didn't even address him when talking about the best moves for the offseason. Interesting take. Lowry took the cake with 77% of that vote last year. But who's the most underrated acquisition? This one I'm kind of cheesed about as well. Underrated. I've seen no one talk about the Otto Porter Jr. acquisition for the Raptors. That's an NBA champion we're bringing in. He's getting put behind a Malcolm Brogdon that's barely played in the past 3 seasons due to injury. A 38-year-old PJ Tucker, John Wall, who hasn't played in a year. Right? Melton, I think, was underrated himself. Bojan also, I think, is underrated. But the fact that Otto Porter Jr. not getting any love on this list, interesting stuff. But which team will be most improved in 2021? As said, there's been lots of love for the LA Clippers. We're not even getting any votes in the squad despite our internal development, but we didn't make any big moves, so it is what it is. The Portland Trailblazers are our team that I think are going to take a step up this year. And don't sleep on the Kings. Don't sleep on the Kings. Marcel will be sleeping on the Kings over Courtside Digest. They got Keegan Murray, and he's going to be good this year. It's my takes. My takes for the Western Conference. But what was the most surprising move of the offseason? Gobert, Mitchell, all that sort of stuff. We had Brian Windhorst covering all these things. But who's going to win Rookie of the Year? Paolo, Keegan Murray, getting some love. Love to see that. But I want to see Koloko. We just had Rookie of the Year last year. He's looking good in preseason. Get some love to Koloko out here. Let's start the hype train right now. But Jalen Green won most of the votes for last season in terms of GM polls. Scottie Barnes stole that thing away from Jalen Green, just like Koloko's going to from Paolo this season. But who will be the best player in 5 years? Mathurin, wow, Dyson Daniels, a couple Canadians on this list. I like to see it, but Mathurin I'm rocking with. Chet, Paolo, all these guys. I'm a Keegan Murray guy. I'm sticking with him. But we finally get some Raptors love at this point here in this list. This vid's going a little bit long. This is more of a rambly video, so I'm not even stressing about it. But AJ Griffin, who's the rookie, the biggest steal? Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, folks. I see Griffin. AJ Griffin's our Adrian Griffin's son, getting some love there, but no Christian Koloko at steals of the draft either. Disappointing NBA GMs. Y'all are sleeping on our guy. But who's the best international player? Yeah, Giannis, Luka, Jokic. Can't go wrong with either one of those. Wembanyama, this guy getting some love as a non-NBA player. It's international. Best defensive player in the league. Giannis, Draymond, Rudy Gobert. Bam's getting votes. Kawhi is still getting votes. Wiggins is getting votes. No love for OG, Precious, even Siakam, right? Let's, Riker and I had big debates last year about Siakam's defense. The Raptors, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., not even a percentage of a vote, not even a single vote for any Raptors guy. Sleep. They stay sleeping. Stay sleeping on our squad. But, perimeter defenders, again, no Toronto Raptors. No love for the Raptors in terms of defense, but we do get one in terms of versatility. Now, Siakam's a guy that I know our comment section looks at as not the strongest defender by any means, but he did get a vote in terms of being the most versatile in the NBA. I think he's not even top 3 versatility on our team right now. That would probably have to go to OG, Precious Achiuwa, right? Gary Trent Jr., if you want to call it. He can guard 1 through 3. Maybe Pascal Siakam's 3rd in terms of versatility on the Raptors, but interesting. He's the guy that got selected on this list out of any Raptors player. But best defensive team, no love for us either. Even though the second half of the year, we were absolutely stifling on defense. Hate to the squad. But this is the most egregious. This is the most Golden Kazoo thing I've seen from this list. Coming right here. And they asked NBA GMs, who is the best head coach in the NBA? And there's Golden Kazoos blowing. They're all blowing the Golden Kazoos in the NBA GMs. Because Eric Spoelstra, I get he's a great coach and all that sort of stuff. Steve Kerr, yeah, he won an NBA championship, sure. Get some votes there. Greg Popovich, the history, the legacy. Monty Williams, the guy can't even talk to his disgruntled center at any point in the offseason. He's getting 7% of the votes. Ty Lue, yeah, Ty Lue's all right, but Mike Budenholzer, Taylor Jenkins, no votes for Nick Nurse. Not a single vote for Nick Nurse. A guy that took a team last year after a 1-year single rebuild and just literally pieced together on the fly, develop players on the fly, a team that was basically dumpster fire in the league this season prior to top five in the Eastern Conference last season. Nick Nurse getting no love on that front after winning a championship just 3 seasons ago. Shocking. And it's even more shocking he didn't get any votes on this front when you look at the rest of them, because who makes the best in-game adjustments? At number 2, Nick Nurse. Should be higher than Ty Lue. LeBron James is making those in-game adjustments for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No, well, Tyler Lue makes all in-game adjustments for the Clippers. I will give some love there, but which head coach runs the best offense? Nick Nurse getting tied for third, and his disciple Chris Finch, number 2, right there. Which coach has the best defensive schemes? Nick Nurse, number 2, right? He's in top 3, top 4, top of all these rankings here, right? And the intangibles. Which new or relocated head coach, that's not involving any of our guys, but who is the best assistant coach in the NBA? Adrian Griffin, right? 7% there. So Nick Nurse makes the best top 3 in-game adjustments, top 3 offense, and top 2 defense, and he's not even ranked as the best coach in the NBA. Stupidity coming from this list on this front, but yeah. Kyle Lowry also got a vote as one of the best. Which players will make the best head coach someday? We all knew this. Kyle Lowry's going to be a good coach in the NBA. Hopefully for the Raptors as well. But which team's the most fun to watch? The Raptors coming in as a team that got votes. Love to see that. But which team has the best home court advantage? And the Raptors kind of blow it away. Number 1 on this list, 21% of the vote. Find that interesting. GMs are saying that. I feel like the Raptors home courts, definitely just in terms of Jurassic Park, the love that this team gets across the country, it's huge, but I feel like the home court advantage has kind of waned off in recent seasons just because of the prices of the tickets. It's just been absolutely lucrative. It seems more quiet in the gyms, especially since that Tampa year, so I don't know. I like that we're still getting some love, though, but that's one thing I think GMs are looking back to a couple seasons on, or just watching the highlights across the league. But which team is the toughest to predict? No one's talking about us on that front. But which team will have the most efficient offense? No love for the Raptors. No love on the promising young core either. That's surprising with Scottie Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, and guys like Delano Banton, Precious Achua. Right, we're not even getting votes, and like the Orlando Magic are. Pistons, get out of here with this cheese. But then we just have a bunch of sort of random questions going on. Nothing really going on with Raptors involved questions there at this point, but I like the final one that they always ask. What rule needs to be changed? And the coach's challenge is a big one that I think should be flipped up, should be turned upside down, because I don't get why you have the reviews. You have a replay center and the refs still have to go over and look at them themselves. Stupid. It's a stupid deal, but mandatory draft medical information makes sense, but lottery odds flattened it. I would love for there to be a wheel that they spin for the top pick. I think that would just be great. But the playoff format, play-ins, it's whatever. But there's one more that I saw. Free agency before the draft. I feel like that makes a little bit more sense because you can draft based on need, less than on knowing which players are going to come back. But that's essentially the article. That's what the NBA GMs had to say about this season. Different style of video, a little bit more ranty, a little bit more not as structured with the chapters and all that. I'll still throw chapters in on the description of this vid. But let me know what you guys think about what the GMs had to say. Were the Raptors slept on? Were they overhyped in some areas? Let me know in the comment section below. But let me know if you also want to see more of those like article reactions where we go through them together. But you guys are best to make this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, all that cool stuff. Fantasy League announcements will be made tomorrow, so what all the details will be on that front. So definitely, if you want to join early, you can join the channel memberships. Just waiting for all the new updates to get approved, and then we'll be flying. But enough of me rambling. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.